I was a little anxious during that last video, so I figured I'd eat some of my cannabis. Yummy! It actually has a little bit of a sweet flavor, and so does, oh man, the ends of these things, these shoots, these are fantastic. They have a sweet flavor. You can put them in salads, everything. Oh man, yeah. So, all right. So I'm out in my field right now. This is my first year experimenting with hemp farming. This is my cannabis field. I call it the, I guess, I just made this name up. I said I was going to call this field the opportunities for epilepsy. And the reason I say that is because we have the plant cannabis here that produces many, many bioactive compounds such as CBD that are effective in treating things like epilepsy. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, is the opportunity for these two plants to probably become two of the best medicines or best opportunities for people out there suffering with seizures and neurological conditions to get well, get healthy to their best ability. You know, the cannabis plant has been studied in Israel. A research study here done very, very recently showed that it was fantastic for drug-resistant epilepsy. And not only was it effective against epilepsy in reducing the number of seizures these children had, but it actually improved their cognitive behavior, their cognitive skills, their communication, their language. All kinds of things were improved by this plant outside of just reducing seizures, which when you look at seizure medications, oftentimes one of the problems that parents face with putting their child on things like diazepam is that they actually have side effects of reducing those other, social interaction type skills like communication, language, and eye contact. So, you have potential benefits from the cannabis plant here, fantastic. And I specifically wanted to hit, I literally rototilled this field to, till the vegetation under to keep it organic, the best of my ability, and then plant my cannabis. But I also would till around areas where I saw other medicinal plants growing, like the passion flower. So this is a passion flower vine, and I'll give another video on identification and how uses and things like that in the future. And there's lots of websites out there with that kind of thing. But I wanted to specifically talk about the research in epilepsy, or using this plant right here to treat epilepsy. Now, you'll find that I can't find it at least, there's currently no clinical trials, human trials, on the use of passion flower for epilepsy. But the reality is there's fantastic animal studies, and that's the foundation we should be using to call on places like, or organizations like the Epilepsy Foundation. We should be calling on them to put forward the government money, the taxpayer money that they get as a nonprofit, and then the millions and millions of dollars that are given to those organizations. We should be calling on them to fund clinical trials on this plant immediately. And here's why. We should be asking them to do that because this plant right here has potential benefit beyond seizures. See, the problem with seizure disorders and individuals suffering with that is oftentimes because of the seizures and the neurological damage that would occur long term, is those individuals will usually start to develop depression, and depression will get worse over time. Well, the medical community right now only uses drugs to downregulate the nervous system to stop it from having seizures. Well, when they do that, they actually speed up the progression and development of severe depression. So they speed that problem up. They make it occur much faster. So there's negatives to that drug. Even though we're reducing one symptom, we're causing sometimes a much worse symptom where then, God forbid, the risks of severe depression like suicide and other problems. So this plant in animal studies was not only found effective against seizures, but it actually reduced depression. It would literally protect the brain and conserve the serotonin and norepinephrine and hormones in the brain needed to basically stay in a positive mood. So not only did it reduce seizures, but also reduced and was an effective treatment for depression. The problem with the medical community, their way of treating epilepsy or seizures right now is the use of drugs like diazepam. Well, seizure medications like that actually have a side effect of, again, you will see depression progress in seizure disorders alone, but also you see it get much worse, much faster in the drug treatment. So the drug makes it get worse a lot faster. Well, the medical community only has those antidepressant drugs. It's like they don't want to go outside their little box of profit and say, you know what, there's natural herbal remedies out there that people could grow themselves. You know, we need to ask our government to say, you know what, allow families, allow people in the state of Tennessee and all over the world, in fact, to be able to grow cannabis and passion. Well, we can grow passion flower, but it should be allowed to grow cannabis and combine the two when necessary to effectively and safely and more benefit and find more benefit for their children suffering with epilepsy. That's what should be allowed. So when we have this, we have these drugs, depression medications can't be given or shouldn't be given, they still are, I oftentimes see, is that they'll be given to people with seizures. But the problem with depression medications is what that will then do is it'll lower the threshold for which a seizure can start to occur. So they need to increase the seizure medications, and then they got to further increase the depression. It's just this rock and a hard place that medicine places so many people and so many children with epilepsy or with seizure disorders. When animal studies have already multiple times shown effectiveness of this plant right here, passion flower, against seizures. Again, there's the flower right there. These have been pollinated already. They're going to fruit. So this is effective against seizures, and it conserves the brain and the hormones in the brain needed to combat depression or stay in a positive mood about life. So right there, a plant that does both. Why don't we, like literally I'm calling on people, I'm begging people out there, you know, write letters to the Epilepsy Foundation, because on their website, they mention there's animal studies, but they downplay the potential benefits of this, saying, well, don't try it, don't use it, because you know what? There's no human clinical trials. It's been used for generations and centuries for the treatment of epilepsy in traditional herbal remedies and herbal medicine. We have effective animal studies. We have positive animal studies. We have the foundation of research. Now the Epilepsy Foundation should be saying, you know what? There are huge potentials. We see harms with the other medications to treat epilepsy, you know, such as severe depression. Well, we see that this could treat both the seizure and the depression. The Epilepsy Foundation should change their tune and be taking all the taxpayer money they get from our government and all the money they get in donations. And they should be saying, you know what? Let's put it forward towards a clinical trial in children, in human beings, to see what this plant has to benefit so many people out there suffering with epilepsy and depression. So I'm just looking around me right now, and I can't wait for this information to get out to parents of children with epilepsy. I'm praying right now that this information, that, you know, they'll go out and start, you know, working with their doctors. You know, I always got to say that, you know, you got to work with your doctor. These are, in essence, passion flower is a type, it can have a sedative effect. It can help with sleep and muscle spasm, anxiety, and things like that. So it can have a positive effect on that. So you need to, and it could increase the potential of your drugs working better. No, it is not increasing the drugs working better. No, the plant's doing the work for the drug. So then you're overdosing on the drug. So you should start to wean off the drug so that you can be supplementing with a safe alternative. That's my pure and positive opinion on that. That's my opinion, but I always got to throw in that clause that, you know what, if you're going to try these things, you know what, do it with the assistance of your physician who puts you on that drug, all right? But I can't wait for this information. And I pray that, you know, the world wakes up to the fact that even foundations like the Epilepsy Foundation seems to be protecting the profits of big pharma. When we have free wilderness, wild remedies, we have cannabis, we have natural plants that are more effective, more beneficial than any of the medicines out there right now for these conditions like seizures or depression. Why don't we get that information out? Why don't you help me get that information out there to the people that need to hear it the most? So share this video right now, email it to a friend who has a child suffering with epilepsy. You know, share it with a friend that you know dealing and taking medications maybe for depression and other things. Maybe somebody who has sleep disorders. Share this video to them. Let's get this information. Let's write letters to the Epilepsy Foundation and say, fund the study on passion flower. Immediately fund that study so that we can get this drug's, you know, solid evidence out there to the masses so that we can help children suffering with such a debilitating condition like epilepsy or seizures. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking around for this entire video. Please share it with those who need it. Hey everybody, I'm the Wild Doc, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you hop on over to thewilddoc.com. Subscribe there for our newsletter and email campaign. Join in the conversation on Facebook, and let's transform the world by unleashing the power of natural healing.